Hello everyone. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello. It's like somebody's going to answer me. I don't think so. Good evening. Hold on a minute. We're on part 5. How did that happen? That happened really quickly, didn't it? Ah, dear me. Yes, anyway, we're on part 5, which is great, which means we're on schedule. It means I kind of planned it right. Who'd have thought? Hi, Gemma. Yes, good evening. I hope you're all well. It's Saturday. I had to think then. It's Saturday, the 30th of January. No! December! Are you like that? Where you have to really think hard about who you are, what day it is. It's that funny time. Everybody says it, don't they? But it is that. I really thought it was January there for a minute, which I'm rather pleased it isn't, because actually I've got a lot to do in January, and it's like I need those 4 weeks. You know, it's not like I can skip it. I need those 4 weeks to do stuff. Anyway, oh, thank you, Jackie. Jackie sent me 50 stars. We have worked tirelessly all day. Well, for about an hour. I must get my wonky glasses fixed. Oh, well done, Brenda. Well done. Yes, Jackie and I have worked tirelessly for all day, no an hour, no, perhaps half an hour, or maybe 10 minutes, to work out how to do the stars, because we thought, well, it's got to be a way. And yes, we discovered it. Oh, Facebook is lovely. I love it. It's so handy. Everybody loves it. It's convenient to everybody. We've tried lots of other things other than Facebook, and it's really not so good for that quick interaction. Although if you're watching this on YouTube, don't think I've ever left you out, because I haven't. This is a recording that you'll see about an hour and a quarter after this live has finished. So you'll see it UK time around about 8:15. And that's because I've had a software update and I haven't quite mastered it yet. Because there's only me, well, there's John, and if we both fiddle with it together, it's no good at all. It's just a recipe for disaster. So so I need 5 minutes. This is why I need January to actually do all these jobs. So yes, it's Saturday the 30th of December, and it's actually my granddaughter's birthday today. She's 16, Lily Byrne, and she's out with her mates tonight, bowling and having fun as they do when they're 16, and she is just super. So I'm very proud to be her grandma. But anyway, it's her birthday today, so I should remember, shouldn't I? Should ingrain it in my brain. Right, we're on part 5. Oh, thank you, Diana. It's actually one I've had a little while. I'm not going to say it's old and all this old thing, because it's not. It's nice. But I thought, you know what? We're still in the sort of a Christmassy, celebratory, New Yearish sort of mood. So I'll stay with the sparkles. I might treat you to my penguins tomorrow. That'll be the last time I can wear them, surely. Maybe I can get away with the Christmas trees on Monday, and then that's it. Christmas jumpers and sparkly stuff have to be relegated to the back bedroom cupboard. Do you have wardrobes for special occasions? You know, a wardrobe for certain things, or is it just me? I've only got 2 wardrobes. Don't think I've got hundreds of wardrobes, and I haven't. I've got 2, and they're small. I keep telling John they're rather small, dear. Right, so part 5. Now part 5, if you remember, we'll have a look on the overhead in a sec, is the tall flower, and I've done a little preliminary work with that, only that I have printed out the templates, and I printed them on my heat and bond straight from the printer, and I traced 3 leaves, because there's not 3 leaves on the templates for obvious reasons. We talked about that yesterday, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, have a look at yesterday's. So it's the tall flower, and obviously you can do your own, and you are doing your own colour combination, as I've done mine. So you can You can do whatever you like, as long as you're happy with it. And I'll tell you something, the ones I have seen already are beautiful. And I'm always ever so, I don't know about you, but I'm always ever so envious of what everybody else has done. And my mum always used to say, that your neighbour's work is always better than your own, and I had to tell her, yeah, but don't forget you're somebody's neighbour, because she was pretty good. So and that kind of, you know, that helped her along. She needed it, bless her heart. She was really good, but she was so not confident in what she did. Oh dear me, what a waste. Anyway, let's move on. I'm seeing lots, I'm trying to find my mouse. I'm seeing lots and lots of names coming up. That's lovely. We've got Violet, Elaine, we've got Maggie, Judith, Pippa, we've got Jan, Kathleen, Jerry, Judy, Dee Dee. What, again Dee Dee? 5:30 in the morning? Is the weather still bad? My friends are flying out tomorrow, and they said that they knew it was pretty bad out there, so, well, rainy and miserable. No summer at all, Dee Dee. And we've got Diana and Anne and Lynn and Fiona and Janet and Patricia and Brenda and Sandra and lots of, and Helena from Canada. How lovely. It's so nice that you could join me. It's just such a treat for me to have your company every night for 12 nights, 7 o'clock. Next Thursday it will be, I think we're still doing it next Thursday, will be different because of course my members come first. My members come first, and they will get their 7 o'clock slot as normal, and I'll be with you probably here at 8 o'clock Thursday. That is, Kath and I had last Thursday off because I figured it was nice for me to have a break, but it was really important that Kath had a break. She works incredibly hard. She does far more hours than she should, but don't tell her I said that, that's fine. Anyway, let's have a look on the overhead and have a look at this. Now look, I did you a photo just so you got a rough idea of where my head's going with this little quiltet. And this is the one we're working on today. So we've done, now look, we're going to do this. We're going to put these together. Now I haven't done that, and we need to do it because this is really one section. So if I get my pencil, which of course has now disappeared, I think I tidied it earlier. I was having a little tidy up. Oh, let me just get a pen. That's it. Oh dear me. So this section here, if I try not to get my hand in the way, this section here can be put together, right? Because that is one section. Can you see? Yeah, I know it's difficult to see, but this block, that block, this block and that block can all be put together. So we're going to do that straight away, and then that's done and dusted. I'm opening my seams. You don't have to. You go with whatever A, you've been taught, or B, what you're happy with, okay? Oh, Sarah Jane says, hi all, weather is atrocious here. Signal keeps dropping. Where are you, Sarah Jane? I hope I pick up your comment when you say where you are. The next section, the next block if you like, is this one here, which is the tall flower and the scalloped flower. So that's our next section. And this is what we're doing tonight, this one here, okay? I can iron this off because this is the heat erasable pen. And the next 2 nights we'll be working on these two here, okay, these two here, okay, all right? So this will join to that when we do it, and to be perfectly honest, because we've done this one, I will kind of zoom through this one, but we'll concentrate more on that one, okay? So that's going to be the next 2 nights, but tonight it's all about the tall flower, and we should easily, well no, when I say easily get it done, I'm going to do something a little bit different tonight. I've got something to show you, a little technique, and tonight is something a little bit different, which might be interesting to watch, maybe, or it's something that may not interest you, in which case you've got all this to go back to. Whatever you did here is great. We'll see how we get on, yeah? That's the best thing to suggest. And then once we've done this section and that section, we can join those two together, and then we can join those two onto that one, yeah? And then this is one long block, if you like, one long piece, which will then get put onto that. Does that make sense? So this whole section is one section, this is two section, this is three section, and this is four section, okay? As I said to you, or somewhere, I can't remember where now, I said to you somewhere, this won't have instructions, everything is on the live. So if you're not sure, look back, and maybe once all the lives have done, I could pick up poignant bits and highlight them, yeah? But what I suggest you do is something, like for instance, last night we did the reverse applique, and oh, hold on, some of you may have seen the end result that I put on Facebook earlier, and all I did last night was to show you how you build up the layers and how you cut back, and you know, it's pretty rough, but with stitch I think it looks quite pretty. So you may want to remember how to do that. Well, all you have to write down in your diary is part 4, and then you know that the reverse applique bit was part 4. So I would say make your own notes, so you just rely on you, actually. I think it's probably a good tip. I mean, we're always here to help. Don't think that I'm not. Oh, thank you, Sue. Sue sent me 100 stars. Thank you, Sue. Oh, that's lovely. Did that lady say where she was from? I've forgotten her name now, you know what I'm like. Oh, no, Sue says the weather in Gloucester is pretty atrocious. Oh, Sarah Jane, that's it. Yeah, okay. Perhaps her signal has dropped out completely now. Yeah, so I would say if something sort of tickles your fancy and you think, oh, I must have a go with that, write it down, and then you'll know straight away yourself where that was done. Right, I'm hesitating because I wanted to show you something else. And it's a case of, what do I show you first? Right, quickly, I've got my tall flower ready to go, so that's there. You don't need stabiliser on this one, okay? With all the others, let's get all this gubbins out of the way. Which one shall I do? I think maybe this one. I tend to pick that one all the time, so I'm going to pick this one. Okay, so with this one, I'm talking to myself, guys, just ignore me. With this one, we added the bottom bit. We need to do that with the other one, okay? So this is the other one that we did last night, and this one I'm going to join with that. Now then, if you're not sure and you haven't read my notes on things, 10.5 inches square are all the squares. The small rectangles are 10.5 by 5.5, and the big rectangles, which is the tall flower, are 20.5 by 10.5, and I wrote it in pencil there for my benefit, and that's the same as well, 20.5 by 10.5, and with any luck they'll all fit together. Don't forget, I kind of do this on the back of a fag packet, as they say. Yeah, so I've taken pretty much all my tearaway stabiliser out, so it's nice and soft now. You will get a little bit of stiffness because we've used heat and bond, whatever. So you know, so you'll have a little bit of stiffness where the flowers are. Yeah, Jerry says, I think the reverse applique is beautiful. It can be very beautiful, Jerry. Obviously I kind of, you know, rushed it a bit because I just wanted you to see how it was done. I wasn't kind of trying to teach you anything other than this is what you can do, so it's up to you. Now, I talked to you last night about the micron pens. Goodness knows what else I tried to call them. I think I called them macron. Maybe I was thinking of the French president. Anyway, they're pigment liners, and because they're pigment liners, actually these might be on my Amazon shop. They are water-based and water-resistant, which always confuses me because I think if it's water-based, why don't they wash out? Anyway, they're permanent. They're permanent. So please don't get them confused with that. That's your heat erasable, permanent. But I'm going to do something a bit daring. Okay, so I'm going to just pick one out. the bigger the number, the bigger the nib. That's the best way to describe. Let's see, that's a brush. Oh, I don't want a brush. What's this? 0.4. Test it, test it, test it. Okay, find yourself a piece of scrap and test. Oh, yeah, that's really good. Hold on, bear with. They are a little bit old, so maybe they've given up the ghost. Oh no, look, here we are. So just test it to make sure you like. It's small. Hold on, let me hold that up. It's small. This is 0.3. It's all right. 0.3 is fine. If you get a big packet like these, you'll get loads in there to choose. Obviously, the 0.4 needs to be replaced. So what you can do, and I'm not suggesting you do this, right, until you think that's for you. It's important. When I talked to you about applique last night, I said one of the things you could do is faux stitching, which is, if you're a card maker, this is the sort of thing you could do on a card. So, but we can do it on our fabric. So for instance, I could actually do, I know you might not be able to see this, so I'll bring it up a bit. You can do faux stitching on your fabric, right? Now, let me just bring it up. Whoop. Can you see? It feels very difficult. I've got so many lights in this room, and 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got 4 lights shining on me, and it's still hard to see. Anyway, sorry, I'm fiddling and faffing around. So can you see that faux stitching? Yeah? Let me do a bit more. So it's just following sort of a line that you might have in your head of what you want to achieve. I don't know, I'm not an artist, but I'm going to zoom you in and you'll see. In fact, let's do it now. Sorry about tomorrow's washing. Oop. Okay. Oh, that's lovely and clear now. I'll zoom you out again in a minute. So look, can you see? You can use the micron pen, the pigment pen, to do faux stitching. So, and this is super because it's permanent. So even if you wash this, which I probably wouldn't, it's not going to come out. Which is maybe A, a good thing, B, a bad thing. So can you see the sort of, and I've got to do them all now. So just a dash line as if you were stitching, curve it around if you want. So what do you think to that idea? It's quite nice, isn't it? Well, I think so. Different. It's nice to learn different things. So I've got to keep on now, haven't I? Let's just do one low down here. But you could actually do like a faux quilting. So let's just put a couple of little stitches in there. And then this last one here, I'll show you in a minute what I mean. I'm sort of loath to do it on this piece, but I'm going to have to, aren't I, to show you. Oh dear. And then that means I'll have to do it on the next one I do. That's okay. There. Can you see? It looks okay, doesn't it? Oh, thank you, Anne. Anne sent me 50 stars. Oh, thank you so much. That's really kind. And thank you to all the people that bought me a coffee. I did swap some for cake. I had a fresh cream chocolate eclair with my dad this morning. A Marks and Spencer's, what is it called? Something like a magnificent one. In other words, it's far too much chocolate and far too much fresh cream. It was under control until the last bit, and then I got it everywhere. Dad decided he needed a packet of wet wipes because he had it on his nose. He had cream and chocolate on his nose, and then he had it right up here. God, can't be trusted. So the other thing you can do, this is if you want, this is not, I would suggest you do a little test piece and then try, but you could do faux stitching around your piece of applique. Now you don't have to do it both sides. You could just do it one side, okay? You don't need to do it both sides. But what it does, it adds a little bit more dimension to something that's flat. So if you decide you're a little bit frightened about quilting, and you see, oh yeah, you can see that, okay, then this might be an answer, or no, or not. It's just an idea. It's just to give you all inspiration and a little bit of an opportunity to do something a little bit different. So I'm going to put, I'll move that up, put it around this way. But I think just do it one side. Oops. I feel like I'm doing this left-handed. Don't know why. I'm not, but... Right, let's move it round so it's at the front, down properly. So now you can see, I've kind of added a bit of interest just with the dashed line. And then you might think, I'm going to leave it at that. I'm not going to do any more. And it kind of makes it more 3D. So if you're not keen on quilting, you know, proper quilting, then maybe, like I say, this is the answer for you. But you could go around all the flowers, or, oh, I'm going to do it. Or you could make your flowers even more interesting by bringing just things like this. Look at this. I'm being very brave, guys, because I didn't want to do this. Brave or foolish? Brave or foolish? But it's for your benefit. It's for your benefit. And now I've got to do all of them. Oh, you see, took me down a rabbit hole I didn't want to go down. But it's good fun. It's good fun. And if I have a lovely friend called Sandra, and she owns Santangle, and this is what she does. This is what she does, it on paper, she does it on fabric. So it's nothing new, and I don't profess to do anything unless it's my own. I'll say if it's my idea. Well, actually the dashed lines are my idea. Well, all of it's my idea, but I know other people that do that sort of work. But don't you think it lifts it now? So if we look at this one, we'll get two on the screen there. It's quite a difference, isn't it? I could do with moving me out the way for a bit. Hold on. Let me just see if I can move me. Hold on. I'll just make me small for a bit. Bye! Now look at the difference between the two. So, although I've done this in pen, you could also do it in a running stitch, which leads me very nicely to the next thing, well, in a minute. Right, so I'm just going to, I'm going to move you up. I'll leave my, yes, it does add more definition, Sue, you're quite right. So let me just try and zoom you out a bit. There we go. Now look at the difference. It's quite remarkable. Quite remarkable. And of course, don't forget, you could do that in there as well, you know, where you think maybe it's a bit plain, maybe. Don't forget, you can do it in there, well, all over. But don't go crazy. I would just say leave it as fairly simple. But I think that looks gorgeous now. Okay, so. Let us move on. Just because we run out of time otherwise. It's 1923, and that was a good year, if any of you were around. Actually, you'd be 100. There was a lady on the TV, was it today or yesterday? She was 100. She's one of the Holocaust victims. Oh my word. Well, I think she got, did she get a gong? Did she get an MBE or something like that? I think she might have done. How wonderful is that? How wonderful. And that lovely Anna. Now I knew I'd forget. Anna, she's the organist in Cambridge at Pembroke College. She's on TikTok. Anna, if anybody can remember, put the name in. She's super. Nice young girl, and she plays the organ, and she conducts, and she's a presenter as well. She does all sorts of things, looking for my mouse. And so, I think she got an MBE. How lovely is that? Right, so what are we going to do? She got yes, she did get a very personal letter from the King, Judy. You're quite right. How wonderful. And he's a very nice man, isn't he? I'm into him at the moment. Did anybody see the lead up to the coronation programme the other night. Oh, was it Boxing night? Was it? Well, that's it. It was our first night because I've got it on record, and I watched it the other day. Oh, it's super! I love it. Right, we're on. I must remember to make myself big on the other camera. So, so what we're going to do, we're going to join the bottom section to this section here. So really all I'm doing is stitching those two pieces together, and then I'm going to stitch them all together to make that block that I showed you before. So nothing technical or you know, nothing that you need to sort of know lots of detail about. So, oh yeah, put your feed dogs up, Lizzie. So I'm on stitch length 2.4ish, that sort of thing. Default, whatever your default setting is, then put it on that. So I'm just straightening up my fabrics there. And you can see I'm using my tape as my guide. I've told you about my machine, haven't I? That my needle is not in the centre of the hole. So I'll do a little back stitch again. I don't know if I can show you. I'm not sure I can show you. I'll just swing my mat round. So if I can tip it forward. I don't know how much you can see of that, but if I get my pokey tool, let's get the thread out of the way. There's my needle there. Right, and the hole is, well, the needle is actually almost touching the left hand side of the hole. I mean, how my needle hasn't broken, I have no idea. So it's really offset by at least a millimetre. Well, of course that will make a huge difference to when I'm stitching. So the 1/4 inch line is actually, I suppose it's about a millimetre in on that tape, so I'm about right. And what I do is I get a ruler, hold on, I'll show you, and I sit the ruler up against the needle, so there I've got the 3 inch, let me just bring it down a bit more maybe. I've got the 3 inch mark, if you like, up against the needle, and then I'm measuring a 1/4 inch out from there. I know it's perhaps not easy to see, but with me talking and showing, perhaps you've got the gist. So that's why I have my tape. Okay, so let's just put you on the overhead again. Sorry, got good view of my pink nails there, which goes beautifully with the red. Not. And before we do anything, we'll open up the seam here, and then we'll join the two together. So we'll have a look at our pattern. So if you want, set the seams, we better do it. I see I found my embroidery scissors. I tucked them away, of course I had. So give yourself a nice good iron, and then just, I always tend to sort of give it a little tug, get my fingers in there and open up the first bit of the seam, and then just run my iron down. Okay, so this section here should measure 30 inches or 30.5. Okay, when I've done it together. Oh, Judy, you saw it, did you? Kathleen, yes, he's doing a great job. Well, I think he's quite fun. You know, as fun people can be, as being a royal. So let's have a look. So our round flowers go up the top. Then we've got our section here, and I was demonstrating that the other day because Julie's doing a stripped piece there, which is lovely. And then we've got the 3-headed daisies, yeah, and then we've got our bottom piece. I'm not going to pull you out any more, but so you can see the sort of gist. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll now put those together like so. and we'll just stitch those up, and then I'll show you at the front what that looks like. So let me just squeeze you around again. I must remember to make myself a bit bigger on the overhead. Not that it matters, but... Okay, so let's get this stitched. So 1/4 inch again. Oh, excuse me. I didn't have a piece of chocolate with nuts in either, like I have the other couple of nights. Okay, now you'll wonder what that is. That's my tester piece of fabric. So if ever I want to test anything, I keep it there. Just, it's out the way, because generally you've only got your little bit of a seam going on here. So it sits there and I can just test something really quick, which is always handy, always handy. Right, there we go. Well, let's just do this while I remember. Whoop. I've eaten my greens today. So there's my my joining seam. So let's give it an iron. I keep switching my iron off now. I've got, oh heck, hold on, let's get rid of that. Usually I leave it on, but it does worry me. So let's open that up. And then I just put my, I just sort of pull it a bit to open up the seam, and then just put my finger in there, give it a little bit of a head start. Now you don't have to open your seams. It's something I like to do, not all the time, but you know, I just feel like on this occasion I will. There we go. Get rid of the yarn again. So now we've completed the first big section, if you like. So if I was to hold it up, oops, sorry, that's where we've got to. Just hold it a bit better for you. There we go. So it's growing, isn't it? So from small little pieces, that's it. Can't hold things straight today. It's from small little pieces. Acorns, from acorns to oak trees. So we can put that to one side now until we've done block 5 and some of block 6, 7, or you know, no part. So let me pop that over there. Good. Okay, so let's have a look now at the big section. So I'm going to bring my mat in. My mat isn't going to be big enough, but that's okay. As long as we get this roughly in the middle, and I'm hoping I'll be able to get it, excuse me, on my desk. Let me just try and remove that. Before I forget, let me just talk to you about something else. I'll talk to you about this. This is a protector mat for when you're ironing. If you're at all worried about transferring any heat marks, shiny marks, dirty marks onto your fabrics, especially if, like me, you're using an off-white or a cream, then this sort of ironing mat is ideal because it allows you still to iron, but it doesn't really, it kind of gives you that barrier between your work and the iron. So it was something I wanted to mention because I do use mine a lot. Albeit I might not use it with you guys on a live, but I do use it normally quite a bit, just to protect things. I'll just take that way for a second. So I'm going to do it sideways because it fits onto my table. I've cut all my pieces out, and with this one we've got 4 layers of our flower, which is smashing. And I think really what you've got to consider mainly here, let me take my leaves away, is the position of your stalk, your stem, and the position of the flower. So let's do it so it looks like that. And you want to try and make sure that that's equal. I mean, even I can see that that's not. The first thing I think is to get that in the centre. So we just want to finger press. We don't want to use the iron because oftentimes we'll use the iron, oops, and it'll leave a mark and it doesn't come out so easily. Yeah, so I would just say a gentle finger press, and there we have Look at that, it's beautiful. And then I'll take the paper off. I'm not ironing anything down. Well, A, because I haven't got my mat, and B, I'd be so fed up if I didn't get it in the right place. So there's my stem. I think it needs to come up a bit more. So let's have a look. Using my ruler, what have I got? 2.5, just beyond 2.5. Let's take it to 2 3/4. And then when I've got my seam allowance there, that gives me 2.5, doesn't it? So I can just mark that with my pen, just in case I move it, which is quite likely. And then on the other end, I'll measure in 2 3/4. Where are we there? And that could be where the top of my flower goes. So I've just got to sort of jiggle it all around so it fits, you know, nicely. So there's the top there. I mean, you know, that's not bad, is it? And I could put the flower over the stem like that. I mean, actually, I think we're good to go with that, don't you? You could put the stem like that, right in the centre. Oh, you know, this is going to be down to how you feel about what it looks like. And I know some of you will be really particular about that, which is fine. So I'm just going to iron my stem down, just so we've got it in place. Okay. What time have we got? Oh, we've got plenty of time, because I want to show you this other technique. So let me just put the iron on that. It's not hot enough yet. It's getting there. It's not bad. There we go. And like I say, you don't need any, for this particular technique, you don't want any stabilizer. You don't need it, okay? So let's just get the heat and bond off the back. Come along. That's it. Lovely. And then we'll pop that down. Maybe we can do that. I don't know if that's a bit contrived, actually. Let's do it like that. So when I turn that around, it's just going to be off centre, and that point's a bit off centre. Okay, but I'm happy with that. That's in the middle. Too late now. It's down. But you know, with heat and bond, we could lift it up again and just reposition it a little bit. Jackie has put a link on there for the, oh look, I just missed a little bit. You don't have to look at that bit. Has put a link on for the ironing mesh. Oh, well done, Jackie. That's very useful, thank you. Now, where's my pokey tool? Oh, here it is. So let's see if I can lift it up. This is a big piece to lift. It's gonna be too cold, isn't it? Yeah. I don't know. I don't want to ruin my fabric piece. Come on, guys. You can do it. You can do it. Oh, I don't want to do it. Look, I'm going to rip that bit. Put it down. Put it down. You didn't see that. There we are. All done. All better. Don't matter about that bit. We can stitch around there. Okay. So so if I do it that way, yeah, you can see that I've got that nicely positioned. So what we'll do is we'll concentrate first of all on the flower, because the leaves I need to do, if you look at the pattern, let's bring the pattern in, you can see that they're kind of level here. For a curved leaf, they are kind of level. So I really need to sort of concentrate on that when I'm doing that. So let's take the next layer. Perhaps I should do that. Oh, that's a good idea. God, that's genius. It was meant to be. Actually, I mean, theoretically that should go like that, shouldn't it? I'm gonna have to keep it like that now. Oh, right, let's put that layer down. Beautiful. So don't forget, with this one you've got, as I said, you've got 4 layers. So you can test your machine out, get some scrap, do 4 layers with the fabrics and the Bonder web and see if your machine likes it. Let's put the next one down. Is it on, oh, Marion says it's on your website. I know it's on my Amazon shop. There's lots of useful things, and the things that I have on my Amazon shop are only things that I would use. I don't have random stuff, so it's only things that I use. My Taylor Seville pins are on. Well, not my Taylor Seville pins. These Taylor Seville pins are on there. That's better. So there's my flower. I'm quite happy with that. So let's just have a look at the leaves. Now then, we need to make sure we've got quite a long stem there. Look, quite a long. I don't want to start measuring, but it's about the same, isn't it? Ish, I'd say. So let's just, we'll take the paper off. Yes, you're right, Nicola. It might well be. And we'll just put those. I mean, that could go underneath, but it's too late now. I'm not going to lift it up, Nicola. You know what's going to happen. The whole thing will fall apart. So learn from me. So I'll have a look on the overhead. Ah, now you see, that's not bad. But I think they could just go up a tad. Yeah? And probably down a tad. So let's... And one of the great things about me looking at the camera is that I'm looking directly overhead, whereas where I'm sitting, I'm not. And you could do the same with your camera. You could take a picture and see what it looks like. And also that's your camera or your phone, you know what I'm saying, is really useful for taking pictures in black and white to see if all your tones work. And you can see if it's balanced, anything that you make. It doesn't matter what it is. Yeah. Right, let's put the other leaf down. There we go. So again, oh, I do like it. So we'll just move it up a bit. I think I'm happy with that. Are you? You happy with that, guys? Trouble is, you don't want to be hanging this hanging up or quilt and everything, and you're looking at it and you think, oh, they're swanky. But you, I mean, you can measure it. For goodness' sake, you can measure it, or you could draw a line. For instance, you could. Let me just get my small ruler. You could get your ruler and and sort of square it up, you know, and make sure that, you know, one of these lines is sitting directly, and this one. And maybe look at this to see if the top of the leaves are sitting. Do you know what I mean? You can use a ruler before you stick it down. But I think I'm happy with that. Nicola says she hot glued a little ladybird on her accidental hole she created. Not a proper ladybird, Nicola. Not a proper one, no. I'd like to think not. Now what time have we got? Got to make sure I fit enough time in for this other demonstration I want to do. It's important. Okay, so that's lovely and glued, and I'm really happy with how that's looking. Now if you want to, you can do your machine buttonhole, your machine zigzag, satin stitch, because we haven't done satin stitch yet. You could do you know, your free motion, gosh, all sorts, right? You can all do that. We've gone through it over the last few days, so those are your choices of what you can do. You could do some faux stitch work with your pen, so like we used 0.3, didn't we, pen? Again, you could go around this with your pen and do a little bit of faux stitching. You could even do stitching down here and on your leaves and not do any stitching at all. But don't forget, if this goes in the wash at any point, this might lift, all right? Because obviously it's the heat, isn't it, of the washing machine. So I would say consider what you do, and at some point you probably will want to stitch this down at some, even if it's only a little bit of stitching. But what I wanted to show you tonight is actually what you can do with a little bit of embroidery thread. Now then, this is something that won't appeal to everybody, but I kind of, a little button type ladybird, oh, thank goodness for that. I was a little worried there for a second. So for some of you, I know, don't like hand stitching. I get that. I totally get that. But you know what? I have to try and, I like to think I'm going to cover everything, okay? And so hand stitching is part of that. Now, what I suggest is, I'm going to use my heat erasable, so don't be alarmed, is that you can either stitch a running stitch, and it can be a long running stitch. It doesn't have to be a tiny little thing. You can do a nice long running stitch up and down your stems. I'll maybe zoom this in a sec. So it holds it down. So you would go up one side and down the other, and that would look sensational. Okay, so you could do, let me just bring that up to the camera. Sorry about the front view. So you could do something like that, as if, you know, with a running stitch. You could also do a running stitch around your leaves with embroidery thread or sashiko thread or perle cotton thread. Yeah, anything like that would be super. And that's all you need to do. You don't need to do anything fancy unless you want to, unless it's your thing. If you're a Rosella, it would definitely be your thing. The whole thing would be embroidered. It would be embroidered within an inch of its life, because that's what she does. But you may not do that. Okay, so your leaf can be embroidered as well. So all those lines that I've done is not pen. Well, it is. It's perhaps embroidery thread. Or you could do blanket stitch. Now this is what I'm going to zoom you in. Hopefully my hands are steady. They're not too bad today. Yesterday was pretty grotty, but today, let's see if it settles. Let's see if it's yeah, we haven't gone out of focus, have we? So let me just take those stitches off with my iron. There we go. And you could do a blanket stitch. So I have to work down that way. I can't go up that way. That doesn't make any sense to me. So if I whiz this around, not too quick, because I know you're very close. So the whole thing could be blanket stitched. I haven't really decided if that's, I mean, this is what I've got to sit down and do tomorrow. So it's whatever I fancy. So don't forget, you've got layers of Bonder web here. And it's not thick, but it's not as easy. Oh, I haven't started that right, doesn't matter. It's not as easy as if you've got a single layer of fabric, because you've got that glue. Now what I've done with my thread is I've got a matching green, and you see, yeah, you can see. I've got a matching green into 2 strands of matching green embroidery thread. And then I've got 1 strand that's a dark green. So what that's given me is a kind of variegated thread, okay, which gives quite a nice effect. So if I show you, try not to move too quick, I've got 1 strand of this dark green, and I've got 2 strands of this lighter green, which matches, look beautifully, and I've just mixed the 2 together, so it gives you a variegated thread. So then you could spend a happy couple of hours doing a blanket stitch, and that'll give you another look and another texture to your project. It could be something that you have absolutely no interest in which case do it on the machine or do your free motion, whatever tickles your boat. If this was purely for me, without demonstrating to you, the whole thing would be free motioned, because that's my thing, right? But it's nice to show you different things. Okay, and so you would go on, right? And you might want to, yes, it is for me as well, Jerry and Judy. Hand stitching is relaxing. Now, what you might want to do, and this is a little bit OTT, guys, but, you know, it might float somebody's boat. You might want to get your ruler, I know, and you might want to mark, for instance, every 1/8 of an inch. I know, but, you know, it's a little bit OTT. But you might want to mark every 1/8 of an inch, and that's where your needle would come up. Okay, so if you think, oh, I'm not neat enough, well, yeah, come on, help yourself and draw where you want it to be, yeah? Okay, so we've got 10 minutes. So now I'm going to show you something else you can do. So now I've got to decide, am I going to finish this tomorrow? Am I? I don't know. Maybe I'll do the stem in blanket stitch, and then maybe and the leaves. We'll see. You'll have to wait till tomorrow night for the second instalment of my tall flower. So is everybody happy with the tall flower? Is everybody happy with that's what you're doing? That is day 5, and it's that section there. Oh, we're a bit close, aren't we? And the next 2 nights we're on these 2 here. Okay, we'll kind of do this quite quickly, so that's a lot of homework for you if you're trying to keep up with me, but this is obviously the one that we'll look at in a little bit more detail, and I come up with something different for that as well. Okay, talking of which, I'm going to keep you on this very close-up camera just for a momento. Okay, so I'm trying to do things a little bit more slowly. Okay, piece of paper. Now then, this is freezer paper. Let me bring in the box to the front. Okay, oh, sorry, I'll come back. I don't think this is on my Amazon shop. This is Reynolds Kitchens freezer paper. And you can definitely get it from Amazon. Amazon. Some people say Amazon differently, don't they? Amazon. And this is great for this technique, and this is all applique again. So where some people think, oh, applique is boring, it's so not. So for instance, you might want to have a leaf, you might want to put a leaf on your project. So let's draw a leaf. A leaf's quite a good one because it can have a point. Oof, crikey, I might cut this out better. Anyway, there's your leaf, and I'm going to cut that out. In fact, what I'm going to do is fold it in half so I get an equal leaf. So this is your leaf. It can be anything, and it can be the smallest piece shape in the world. There's your leaf. Let me turn my iron up again. And we're going to, now then, I'm not going to do needle turn, but this is very similar to needle turn. You can get washable paper, especially for this project, especially for this technique, I should say. But I don't have any wash away paper. I only have freezer paper. So what you can do is you can still do this technique, but you'd have to take the freezer paper out. The alternative to that, because there's always an alternative, you can use a Viseline, a Viseline, yeah, a Viseline. So you can use a leave-in, obviously a leave-in stabiliser, but you want something where you've got an edge. You want to be able to have an edge. Right, so I've heated that up, and what that means is, fingers crossed, that the freezer paper is now attached to my piece of beautiful batik, okay? And all we're going to do now is cut a border around. I would say keep to 1/4 of an inch if you're happy with that. These scissors are gorgeous, but they're too small for what I'm doing. Excuse me. Okay, so just going round. So I'm making a pig's ear in this. Okay. Right. So that's, oh, don't throw that away, it's too precious. So that's our basic shape, And what we're going to do is we're going to snip into this. Oh, my hands are shaking badly now. I'll try and keep it steady. And you can snip right up to the paper if you want. It's better if you do, to be honest. And only do this on the curves. You don't, obviously you don't need to do this on the straight. So once we get to about here, you don't have to snip any more. And maybe you could take the tip of that off, but I wouldn't, you know, lose any sleep over that. Now then, I have some twills which you don't need to go and get. They are very expensive, I think, but I just happen to have them, and I've demonstrated this before in the members, and so they've seen it before. And they're called Appliquick. And they're made by a lady in Spain for Lynette Anderson. Okay, so I think there are distributors of Lynette Anderson products in the UK. I absolutely cannot remember where I got mine from, but I did get them in the UK, but they're not cheap. I think I'm going to say about 40 quid, so you know what I'm saying, that's a lot. I mean, they are substantial pieces of metal. So look, you've got a fork with a pointy bit, and you've got, I don't know what you call it, like a spatula, I suppose. Yeah, difficult to see on my ironing mat. With a pointy bit. Okay, so the pointy bits I don't use, but the other ends I do. So you need some EPP glue, and put plenty on, don't be shy. And you're holding this like a knife and fork, so the forky bit goes on your paper, and the spatula part, yeah, folds this over. And you just want to get in there. I'll just steady my hands on my mat and just pull that over like that. And just, you know, the fork part is really holding this well. And you can move it around with them as well, it's really good. And you can see now by snipping in, hopefully you can see. It's a nice view, isn't it? I'm quite pleased with that, because then you can see. And keep your glue stick handy. Now, yes, this is glue, you're gluing this to the freezer paper, but you can, if you're really careful, once you've pressed this, you can remove the paper, because I do this with EPP, and you can remove the paper. So let's go all the way around. We'll go so far because I want to do the point. I'll get to the point. And it just makes a really lovely, I mean, it's a bit laborious, but if I want you to, leave it there. I want you to consider that you're going to do something like needle turn. So it's got to be good. Let's give that a little bit of glue. And you want to be pleased with the effect. Now with this, I would say all you're going to do is, this may not give you a perfect point, but it's as near as damn it, as they say. So I'm just going, let me use the tools that I'm supposed to do. And I'm just going to fold this over like that. Okay. And then we can put our glue on again. Don't be worried about getting it on the fabric. Hold it and push it over. Let's see if I can do that fairly easily. There we go. And that flat bit really helps to push the fabric down like that. See? Isn't that lovely? And I'm using the spatula again to pull that fabric in on that paper there, so we get a nice curve. Now this is something that you might be so totally not interested in, but it's good to show you other techniques other than the usual things. Okay, I could have spent 12 days free motion embroidering around all of the flowers and leaves, etc. But you know what, that would be really boring for you. So it's good to show you other things, and you can always skip part 5 if it's not for you. Yeah, you've got all the other pieces all the other parts to look at. Okay, now this hasn't given me a lovely point, but I didn't expect it to. So let's put the lid on the glue pen. And then we've got a pretty decent flower there. Give it a press. Give it a press on that side because we want to set that glue. And then this is one I've done earlier. Not quite the same size, that doesn't matter. But it gives you a really lovely smooth edge. So if needle turn is your thing, you could now go in and just hand stitch these down. And you can just lift these up very carefully. You've got to be careful. You can lift this all, this is the cool one. You can lift this away, as I say, very carefully, and remove the paper. I'm not going to do it now because I don't want to spoil it. But you could use Vaseline and leave it in. You could leave the papers in if you want. But there you are, just another technique. And like I say, you don't need to do this. It's just something else that you could do. And actually, doing a needle turn applique sometimes gives quite a nice volume. And also you could almost do it like trapunto, where you stitch nearly to the end and then put a tiny little bit of stuffing in and lift that leaf, flower, whatever it is, bumblebee, ladybird, off your fabric a little bit. So that's something to think about, something to ponder. So there we are. So that is it for part 5. I hope you enjoyed that. It's something a little bit different again. So my homework for me tomorrow is to finish my tall flower, however I decide it to be. I might do buttonhole stitch around the stem and the leaves, and then maybe free motion this with some gold thread. I can't resist a bit of gold thread, but I think it's going to look really nice. I'd love to see what yours look like. Don't forget to post your makes into the Making It Special group, and then I can see what you've been up to and I can admire your work. I know you're busy, I know you've got lives, but right, well, thank you very much, guys. It's been absolutely super to have your company once again. It's been an absolute treat, as normal. I will see you here again tomorrow night, even though it's New Year's Eve. You know, I'm going to be here, so you don't have to join in. You can go and spend some time with your friends and relatives, or you can join me for an hour, or catch up another time. It makes no difference. It'll always be here for you. And as I'm going along, I'm putting them all onto YouTube as well. Oh, which reminds me, switch my computer on. There we go. And I'm going to make a playlist, so they'll all be together in one place, and I'm actually labelling them part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4, part 5. Okay guys, I will see you all again tomorrow night. Have a lovely rest of your evening. Take care. Bye bye everybody. Bye.